Hello there. Hello there.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I didn't know I was muted, but also, I can't hear anything. Hi, guys. What is happening? Why can't I hear anything? Huh? Well, first of all, hi, guys. Hi, Andre. Thank you for the first. Hi, Otis. Hi, Gotcha. Hi, Moon. Hello, everyone. Oh, why is it... Okay, now that's not working. Okay, pause. What is happening? Why aren't things working? Wait, I'm so lost. I'm so lost and confused. 1 second. Wait, what? Oh, that's why. Okay. Okay. Ow. Okay. Fuck you, Zin. No, I'm kidding. Hi, everyone. Hold on. Let me toggle on the hat, too. Here's the hat. Why isn't... Zin, my audio's not working. I can't hear anything. That's kind of important today. It's kind of important. 1 second. I can't hear anything. Like, I don't know why. My audio's not working. Will it work if I put it in there? What did you break? I didn't do anything. It's just not working. What? I'm confused. Hold on. Okay. Put it through there. Am I just gonna have to funnel all my audio in one area today? I'm so confused. Okay. But... Okay, I put it in the headphone jack. Hold on. Huh? Output. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Why aren't things working? Do I have to reset stream? Did your audio output change windows? No, it's just not working. Well, because things were working earlier. I had my PC on. Well, no, it doesn't. Well, like, if I can't hear, that's kind of bad. Because, like, we're reacting to things. Hi, Yummy. I can't hear it. Digital audio? What? 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 Hold on, let me. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. Hold on. If this breaks something, I don't know. It's not my fault. If this breaks something, it's not my fault. It's not affecting OBS. I know you guys can hear the stuff. I just. Okay. Okay. You guys can hear my voice, yes? Oh, I can hear things! Guys, I'm so smart. I'm so smart. There we go. I just need to unplug and replug. There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream so far, Yozora. How are you guys doing today? Happy Monday. What was the issue? I just need to replug it back in. I don't know what the fuck was going on. I don't know why, but like, I think it's my PC. Something always gets a little fucky wucky. Granted, this PC I've had for, I want to say 3 years now, but it should be fine. I don't know. She's been through a lot. She's moved back and forth. Maybe something got jumbled while I was moving. The likelihood is never zero. It's never zero. Are you guys ready for stream today? Are we ready for FNAF lore? I don't know FNAF lore very well. Okay. I do know FNAF lore, but not to the extent of like airy. Could be wear and tear for your USB ports? Probably. Honestly, again, the likelihood is never zero. I do want to purchase a lot of things once I graduate. Guys, I'm graduating soon. Can you believe? Hi, best friend. I'm well. How are you? Yeah, I was talking about it with Jess, and she was like, just buy all the things that you want as like an early birthday gift and an early a graduation gift to yourself. And I'm like, yes. There's a lot of things I want to buy. I have a long list. A lot of it is like updates for my PC. I want to buy Pokopia. I want to buy a Switch 2. I want to buy whatchamacallit? Tomodachi Life. Hi, Jinji. Hello. First of all, holy fit. Second, who the hell forced you to play FNAF? No, we're not playing FNAF. I'm just watching ARGs. I could never play FNAF. Wow. Okay, Zin said I've been saving up my points. I got past the first stage of job applications. Let's fucking go. Big W's. Yes, I've been wearing my new outfit for like the past couple of streams, and although I love it, I do love all my outfits. I thought, today we can have this outfit. Yeah. I think this one's pretty cute. This is 1.0 Maysakura. Usually 1.0 Maysakura had little buns and a jacket. But yes. Someone said comp. No one said comp. Hi, Nox. No one said comp. I think you want to play comp. I have not been playing. Actually, no. I'm playing a little bit of Valorant here and there. Not so much. Not too much, but a little bit of Valorant here and there. Yeah. Guys, today I also made a bevy. I made a bevy. Can you guys hear the ice? It's lychee, soda, water, lychee sparkling soda, and pineapple juice. So I have a nice pineapple lychee soda. Ew, ice? Ew, you're weird. What do you mean, ew, ice? I highly agree. This one's pretty cute. Don't ask me why. You know what's so funny? Do you... I think some people know what my 1.0 model looks like. Since this model, there's been a boob reduction. There's been a 100% a boob reduction since the first model. My first model, she was very bajongas. Like, bajongas. Now I gotta hope that they could consider to hire me after I tell them I'm going on vacation and I'm not gonna tell them it's for a con instead of family tradition. That, or you could say like... Oh, I'm not gonna tell you this to do that. Actually, that's actually kind of bad. Never mind. Never mind. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. That's real though. I know a lot of people that apply for jobs and then they're like, oh, by the way, I'm not gonna be here for like 2 weeks. I'm gonna be here for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what happened multiple times with my current internship position. Every time I get introduced to a new hire, they're like, oh, and I'm gonna be gone soon. I'm like, oh, oh, okay, oh, okay, got it. Uh, what? What do you mean what? What? Who said that? That's craziness. That's craziness. But yeah, today we're watching not Minecraft. Ooh, we're watching 2 FNAF ARGs. These are recommended by 𝐬𝐿𝐴. She is Miss FNAF all the way. I learned all my FNAF stuff because of 𝐬𝐿𝐴. So you know that it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be good. What else? This week we only have 2 streams. I'll be streaming today and then Wednesday. We're playing Outlast Trials again with Kaisu. Oh, but this time with Kaisu, Wumbo, and Oz. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're not streaming too much this week. The Mafia boss's IRL life has taken hands and said, you know what? You only can stream twice this week. And that's okay. There's a lot of content that's going to be coming up though. FNAF is a fire game though. FNAF is. I think it is. It's just I can't play horror games. If anyone saw me play Outlast Trials last week, I am surprised I agreed to play again this week. And you know what's so funny? Another person asked me to play Outlast Trials the following week. And I don't know if that's still happening actually. I actually have to check on that. Mafia boss doing mafia things? Yes, mafia boss doing mafia things. You know, it's so funny because at my work, this is like immersion break moment, you know? At my work, I got asked how do I know how to use Canva so well? Because I do a lot of the graphic design and the setting up for blah 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 stuff for it. And they're like, how do you know how to use Canva so well? Sorry, I had a brain fart. And I'm like, I do social media on the side for other people. And they're like, "Oh, what does that, like, what do you mean by that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I like manage, I I manage people for content creation." And they're like, "Oh." And then one of them came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you do OnlyFans?" Wait, can I say that? Do you, I mean, do you, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Okay, do you do the thingy? And I was like, "No, not that type of creation. No, 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 no." That's a crazy. Honestly, not the first time someone asked me if I do that, but and I was like, "Ah, no, no, personally, never, no, no, wrong, slay, but no." You remind me of that one anime, the Yakuza is a babysitter. Ooh, wait, that's a compliment. That is a high praise. I don't have. Am I being babysat, or am I the babysitter? Which one am I? I don't know how to use Canva, but people who love editing and social do be mastering the arts. I love Canva. I edit a lot of my shorts. A lot of my shorts are edited through Canva. If you had to say yes, they would have asked your name. No, oh my god. I cannot, guys. Oh, see, I looked at this person dead ass for like a minute. Just wondering, are they joking? No, they were not joking. They genuinely thought I had a whole other life, which I do, but like it's like less cool, like I feel like there's a lot more stories I could tell if I was on that platform, but um I'm not, and I have to explain that I'm a 2D woman on the internet, and I call my community members bears. But that's a whole thing. Every time I have to explain myself, because my setup is, when you look at my setup, when you look at all of the monitors, the PC, you're like, "Oh, no, this isn't just gaming. This is definitely not just gaming." Because to give an ideal of what my setup looks like, I have 2 monitors. My second monitor always has my OBS on it, and then my main monitor has all the games and blah blah blah. I have two like Elgato things on the bottom. I have a Stream Deck and a Wave XLR. I have a mic, an XLR cable that connects to my Wave XLR. I have a PC. It just looks very gamer coded, right? So explaining to people like what I do for a living, it's kind of hard. I typically just show them a cover, and then we don't ever talk about it again. Yeah, because a babysitter, you remind me of the main protagonist. He looks like a badass but very wholesome. Honestly, yes, I would say so. I feel like although having a mafia boss aesthetic, and like I think my color tones are very much neutral compared to a lot of other people. Um I tend to I have more of a flowery personality. Hi Ottoman. Hello, hello. Thank you for the compliment. Um You don't get it, mom. I'm an anime waifu. Guys, my mom knows that I stream. My mom knows that I'm a VTuber. She knows. She knows. Hi, Ion. Speaking of Ion, you're so right. And I should post on Instagram. And you're so right. There we go. I'm not cute anymore. I'm well. How are you? How are the assignments? It's like approaching final season, right? I hope everyone's doing well through all of that. I should really just start having things auto posted that I'm live on to Instagram.
Hello there.
Mom 2.0 VTuber model when? Imagine. Hello, Lane. How are you? Trying to set up the system to help me not get behind early on in the term. Ooh. I highly recommend Notion. Notion is my go-to to stay organized. But you got this. I've had my mom on stream before, but this is when I was like hella small. Like hella small. Hella small. I have a weekly schedule that I'm breaking down work week by week. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Proud of you. We love productivity. I love being organized. Oh my god, guys, I'm so ready. I'm so ready for June. I know May just started. Also, thank you for all the happy May the 4th. Oh my god, who's celebrating May the 5th? Tequila? Anyone want tequila? Tequila, anyone? It's so funny. Anyone that knows me has been saying, "Oh my god, happy May month," and I'm like, yes. And then you're crazy for saying that I would stream for 24 hours straight every day. That's craziness. I don't think I can ever do like a marathon like that. I don't know how people do it. I don't have that much energy. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't know much about Star Wars, but the movies that I have watched were really good. I heard recently that you're not supposed to watch Star Wars chronologically of when they were made, but like there's like a certain order that you're supposed to watch them. I could be wrong though. Honestly, I'm chill with May because one of my birthday is the 11th, and also it's 21 degrees here. Oh, period. Your birthday is soon, Ion. Oh my goodness. Dang, I miss it. I only started to hang out because of the ish stream. I didn't expect myself to actually stay. Guys, what can I say? I have a very alerting personality, okay? I have a really nice personality. Trust. If you know a little bit, I'll accept it. Oh, period. Yeah, I know a little bit. I know. I think the last Star Wars movie I watched was about Kylo Ren. I think that's the last one I remember. Oh no. I watched the one with Baby Yoda. But that was a series. And I used to watch my favorite one was the episodes, the animated episodes that was on Disney XD. Oh, dude. That 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 was my childhood. Do I remember much of it? No. But did I have a crush on the main guy? Yes. Episode 4 to 6, then 1 to 3, then 7 to 9. That's the order to watch it, but watch it but watch it from episode 1 to 9. I watched them all 10. Really? Was his name Ezra? Let me look. Star Wars clone. Uh. No, not this guy. Anakin. I liked him. You're actually very entertaining, not gonna lie. Very alluring personality indeed. Thank you! Thank you! I appreciate it. I watched Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. Oh, was it on Cartoon Network? Was it not? Oh, it was! Yo, I'm fake. Yo, I'm so fake. It was probably, yeah, it was. What was on? Wow! Oh, it's been a while. Holy crap. Ah, guys, I miss old Cartoon Network. Ezra is Star Wars Rebel. I haven't watched a single movie or episode of Star Wars. It's okay. I think it's okay. Confession time, gang. Confession time, everyone. I have only watched the last movie of Harry Potter. Anyways, I'm gonna get some stuff done. Have a good lurk, Ion. Good luck with your organizing. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And thanks for reminding me to post on Instagram. Hi, Potato. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you. Have a good rest of your time zone. See why I'm a Star Wars fan, May? I see it. I understand. Look, I understand why people are enamored by certain things. It makes sense. My brain personally, I just don't, it doesn't click in my head really. There's a handful of things that I'm hyperfixated on, so that's why I understand how people get hyperfixated on things. Like Animal Crossing, oh, I will yap about it all day. Oh, boss, need to leave for a while, be back later. Okay, no worries, Shinji. Thank you for hanging out. Hope everything goes well. I didn't like Harry Potter. I didn't like Harry Potter either. Well, there was multiple reasons why I didn't like Harry Potter. But I didn't like it just because, I thought it was a little bit repetitive with the movies. But, you know, to each their own. Every day, you know, anything in the world, any type of fandom, to each their own. Yeah, to each their own, right? Like I think everyone has like a hyperfixation or an enjoy, like a reason why they enjoy something. I was really because my grandpa called Papa Sunny was a Star Wars fan, but aw. But that's like, you know, again, and that's a good memory. Like I remember when I played Animal Crossing, guys, I spent 3 months in Asia every year just because I have family over there, and I didn't really hang out with anyone aside from my siblings, and the only thing that like we all could hang out together was like playing video games. So we played Animal Crossing together. And then my Mama Sakura, bought me the Japanese Animal Crossing to hopefully instill me to read in Japanese. Did it work out? No. Did I still ask her what things said? Yes. Because a girl cannot read in Japanese. But yes. What was I gonna say? Let's get to the reacting. It says 5 minutes for a small one, but a medium, large one, 3 minutes. Dang, that's actually really fast. I don't have that patience. I don't have the patience for Legos, unfortunately. I'm very much like gotta go type of gal. So I always oopsies. I did not mean to do that, but it's fine. Kind of works out. We're watching the 18-minute one first. Yeah. Ooh. Let's get to the reacting, shall we? Let's do this. Do that. Do this. Go small mode. Head pads queen. Ah, thank you.
The following video regards a horror game, and it will feature some jump scare sounds and overall creepiness.
Is the volume okay? Volume check. Was that kind of, I think it was kind of loud, I won't lie. That kind of gave off loud and on my OBS audio mixer. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. Let's get to the video. This one is how the audio enhances the horror of Five Nights at Freddy's. I think Zin might like this one. I have a feeling that Zin might like this one. Hi, Ambu. I'm that way too, maybe because I'm a YMCA staff member for 4 years. I do maintenance. Ooh, nice. Nice.
Hello there.
Hi, Arden.
A
How
fair
are
warning,
you?
the following video regards a horror game,
Should I
and it
make
will
this
feature
smaller?
some jump scare sounds and
Yeah,
overall
that's better.
creepiness.
Hello. I'm Scruffy.
Hello.
And today, we'll be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie horror game that has shaken up the genre and become a worldwide phenomenon, starting from a single developer with a small budget. And in light of that developer, Scott Cawthon, supporting developers of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, and also because Halloween is coming up soon, I'd like to take an analytical look at the ways sound has made this game so compelling and spooky. I'll only be touching
That's
on the
so
first
cool.
game for now, and I won't be addressing the lore of the game much since there are still so many mysteries about it. Now, it's been plenty established that Five Nights at Freddy's is, or was, frightening, if you haven't played it before. And small wonder, it capitalizes on a broad discomfort with animatronics, robots that fall right in the uncanny valley. Too humanoid to be a cartoon, but moving too mechanically to pass for something living.
Oh.
But even more than that, you are trapped in a single spot, the security office of a pizzeria. While these animatronics not only move where they aren't supposed to, while you
That
aren't
is-
looking, but are coming
never
for
thought
you
about it like that.
specifically. It is a nightmare scenario, built off of two pillars: the absence of information, which prevents planning, and the absence of action, the inability to fight or flee. Now, if this were actually a
Oh.
nightmare, those two would perpetuate until we wake up in a cold sweat. But since this is a game, and there is a win condition, some of these pillars have to be sacrificed to allow the player a chance to think under pressure and win over their stress. And this is where developers like Scott turn to visual signals and audio clues to dole out some control. I say clues because while a map of the pizzeria and camera feeds of the animatronics are clearly helpful visuals, it's more complicated when it comes to audio. Some audio works to your advantage, giving you information, and some audio works against you, muddying information, creating unknowns, and even contributing to the absence of action feeling. Let's break down each of these, starting with the advantageous audio. That is, any audio that helps you form a plan and figure out how to survive. In a scenario with absence of action, you are desperate for information like this. Although at first, nothing you hear seems advantageous. It all starts out unknown, which is yet more stressful. It's only after you spend some time in this environment and listen for patterns that you start to pick up where advantages lie. And the sound files of FNAF confirm this line of thinking. For instance, there are 4 different sounds for pots, pans, and oven doors clanging about. Must be important, especially when you can hear these sounds even without using the camera system. Initially, this sound is a stressor, but eventually you can pick up that the sound is louder when you look at the kitchen camera, which only has an audio feed. And then you pick up that Chica, the chicken animatronic, is nowhere else to be found. So all along, this sound was actually trying to help you understand that Chica is currently in the kitchen, and going forward you can determine that without using the camera, saving you some power. Not every advantage in the game has an audio clue, but the ones that do
See, like those moments when like they tell us about like the different mechanics in a game, lore aside, like I don't be thinking much about it until, there's a video about it. And then I think about it and I'm like, and that's why. And that's why.
are well designed.
As a family
Another one
lore,
you'll
my
hear is
family
Freddy's
should-
voice
Ooh.
whenever he moves into a new room. There are 3 versions of this sound.
Very cool, very cool. Ooh, I don't. Oof. Hi, Jess. Hello?
Again,
this
this
feels
can
like
be
such a
heard on camera
Zen-coded
or off,
video.
so initially it sounds like some otherworldly threat is just laughing at you. But eventually, with enough camera usage, you can tie Freddy's movements to his laughter. In fact,
Hi, Maki.
Freddy's difficult to see on camera, and you've got to conserve power anyway. So for some players, it could be easier to count the times Freddy laughs to indicate how close he is to the office. The audio may be unnerving, but since it forms a pattern in an otherwise unpredictable environment,
Wait, what was that? What was that? Wait, I can only... Oh, thank you, Mocking. Thank you for the bits. What the heck is that emote? What the... I see.
it's advantageous. Now, there's other audio that forms patterns but doesn't give you an advantage. These are just good old sound effects, scored directly to what happens on screen. There are the sounds of the camera feed failing when an animatronic you're watching suddenly moves.
Oh.
There's the sound of Foxy running down the hall to indicate you have a very limited window of time to save yourself. And the sound of him banging on the door. These sounds are consistent with their actions, but the player never really picks up help from them. They're mainly to immerse you more in the environment. And you'll notice most of them are diegetic. That is, most of them are sounds that the in-game world would be making. There is one sound that doesn't seem diegetic, however, and that's an audio stinger when Chica or Bonnie appear right in your doorway.
Oh, shit.
That sound is not manufactured by a camera or machinery, and I don't think it's meant to come from Bonnie or Chica. It's more of a classic horror music cue that makes you jump a little more at something sudden. A stinger.
Imagine jumping to that.
In fact, I think it's
Never.
extended technique on a string instrument slowed down 100%. Here it is sped up. I'm not sure about that. The little sounds at the very end remind me of handling a violin, but suffice it to say, it is non-diegetic music rather than an in-game sound. These sounds don't help or harm you, they just make the world more real, direct, and intense. And now, we get to audio that's special for a horror game. Audio that's actively trying to scare
Detrimental
you, or
audio?
even working against the information and actions you have. Let's unpack the different ways audio can deter you from beating this nightmare. First, we have what I'm calling muddied information, audio that isn't clear or that blocks other audio signals. For instance, the cameras make haphazard static noises when they experience interference, or when you can hear one panning back and forth.
Thanks for stopping by, Lane.
The little bit of audio coming from camera feed is also garbled. You know, it's put through a couple of audio filters to simulate a poor transmission of sound energy.
Oh.
So all in all, you hear very little straight from the source. Plus, there are other sounds getting in the way. The loudest distraction by design is the fan in your office. This remains on for the entire night, buzzing incessantly. And
Wait,
here,
I didn't realize.
let me clarify something.
I guess that does make sense.
I mentioned in a previous video about Animal Crossing New Horizons that having some non-zero sound ambiance actually makes an environment calmer than one with total silence. However, if that ambiance is loud enough that it's harder to pick up audio patterns that matter more, it can become stressful all over again. The fan does quiet down when you're focusing on the camera, but that's using up power. So there's definitely an exchange of sacrifices between you and the game here. The more information you are allowed, the more power you use up. And the more you conserve your power, the more information is obfuscated behind filters, distance, and noise. And then here is the truly devious part. Hidden beneath the noise of that blaring desk fan are not only the sounds that impart information, but other sounds that don't, and are either meant to confuse you or just scare you more. Sounds like this strange swirling noise.
I don't like that. And I don't like that. And I don't like that. Oh, dude, I'm getting chills.
Doesn't really signify anything other than a creepy atmosphere that can't be identified. Same with these even subtler noises.
Interesting. Ooh, I don't like that.
They're just barely
I don't feel very settled.
But this sound in particular is resonant enough that you can discern it. Your ear just can't make out any details, and thus it's another potential stressor. This time, though, you don't pick up any pattern or advantage from it. It's just sometimes there, conveying some vaguely metallic sound far in the distance. Other red herrings fit a bit more specifically in the location of a children's pizzeria. Sometimes you'll hear this room recording of a pipe organ, internally called circus.
Oh, organs freak me out.
A festive little jingle like this feels right at home in a kid's pizzeria or an arcade, although it's juxtaposed with the nightmarish scenario. And once again, it's not giving you any real information, it's just getting you that much more stressed. Same with the song Foxy will occasionally sing, internally called Pirate Song 2. You can hear both that and circus anywhere in the game, and this one specifically can be traced to Foxy's stage, but it doesn't signal anything about Foxy's erratic behavior. It's misleading clues mixed in with the legitimate ones. One more misleading clue interestingly begins as a legitimate one. At the start of each night, you receive a previously recorded phone call from another employee who has been dubbed Phone Guy.
Phone Guy.
His call on the first night sets the scene, tells you how you're in danger, and what actions you have to keep animatronics at bay. He keeps things vague, partly because he doesn't know all there is to know about animatronics, and partly because he's skating around the suggestion of mortal peril to try and keep you from quitting. But as the nights progress, you realize that the animatronics will start moving even while this call goes on, and the call itself gives
Wait,
you
that's what
less
happens?
and less
I did not know
advantageous
that.
information after night one. Instead, Phone Guy sometimes opts to deepen the lore of the game, and sometimes gives you suggestions that aren't actually helpful. For example, during night 3, he advises the player to sit still and try and play dead once Freddy is outside the office. Yet, doing so actually has no effect. These phone calls become serious red herrings. They directly speak distracting information to you, and the sound of the phone call interrupts other important sounds, like Freddy laughing. What initially seems like your only lifeline in this scenario has become yet another problem. Now, the
So
last
phone guys
category of
working
detrimental
against
audio
you?
isn't necessarily
Crazy
messing
work.
with your ability to parse other sounds. These are sound effects that make you feel like you're dealing with a supernatural threat. I gave the following sound effects a special category because they're a lesson in themselves for crafting horror game sounds. The slightest hint of language in an otherwise corrupted, garbled sound. It's like there's information or threats hidden in a message to you, but not only is the message not in any discernible language, but it also doesn't sound like the messenger is human at all. Scott gives the animatronics in all his games humanoid sound effects, mainly because they've been possessed, but also so that the animatronics can appear to attempt communicating with you, and it just comes off as alarming supernatural wrath. Here's a sound you'll hear when Bonnie or Chica are right at the corner of your office staring sidelong at you from the camera while their heads twitch.
I don't like that. Oh, hit that. Oh. Yeah.
This only happens
don't like
after
that.
night 3, when you've been with them for a while, so it seems to convey the animatronics' aggression ramping up. But why are they making a sound so reminiscent of backwards human speech? Is there a message encoded in there? Why does it sound so off? If we players had the time to answer these questions we ask, we'd figure out that it is a recording of a person reading an excerpt from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda.
With the formant tuned down.
Similar to animatronics going in the visual uncanny valley, sounds like these go in an audio uncanny valley, where they're definitely closer to language than any other sound in this library, but they're too distorted for you to recognize who made the words or what they mean. These vaguely
What?
vocal sounds are littered throughout FNAF 1, from quick flickering hallucinations to Night 5's phone call, which is another garbled, lowered passage from Autobiography of a Yogi, talking about how marvelous mechanisms will make lives easier in future generations. Freddy's laughs also count as vaguely vocal sounds. They are slowed down versions of a child laughing.
I hate that. That's crazy
And
work.
if Bonnie
I
or
had chills.
Chica are already in your office, but you have the camera up to avoid them, they'll make their presence known with these labored breathing noises. There are 4 of these
Oh, heck
sounds,
no.
and unlike most of the sounds in the game,
Crazy hours,
these are
crazy ones,
dry
bro.
and remarkably close mic sounds,
aware.
since Doom is right in front of you at that point. And on that note, let's talk about more
Then this
endgame
feels like a very
sounds,
you
beginning
video.
with losing the game by letting animatronics get into your office.
Ugh.
Before you hear any right in front of you, you might first test the light button and find it no longer works. Ordinarily, the light gives out a harsh electric hum when you turn it on, and it flickers. The sound is not consistent. When you first test this light, the sound and flickering combined immediately demonstrate absence of
This
action.
video feels
They make
very
you think,
you core.
This shoddy little light bulb is my last line of defense? Of course, as it is
Like, it
one of
feels
the
like
few
something that
actions
you would
can
watch if you
perform, you immediately
analyzing
miss it, and
like the
tension spikes
audio
up when you
cues
suddenly
of
hear this
horror
short
games.
curt sound instead. presuming you can't hide in the cameras long enough, you're about to get the infamous Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare, the sound for which I'll be playing in 3, 2, 1.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's pretty well known at this point that this is a cut-off, overdriven sound of a child
I got a
yelling.
countdown and everything.
Which fits the lore behind the game, and again, is just vocal enough. If you're unlucky enough to encounter Golden Freddy, this sound is slowed down 100%. No natural comforting sounds to be found here, but it is a big sudden
Who
release of
gets
tension.
scared from
The
that?
difference between that and winning the
That's
game
crazy.
is that in winning the game you get
that's so
laudatory
crazy.
sounds of chimes and children cheering.
Oh, my favorite
which
sound
are
ever.
finally close and resonant sounds free of heavy distortion and garbling. And then, in a twistedly comedic fashion,
Really count that?
those celebratory sounds
Yes!
get truncated by
I'm just a
silence
girl.
as the next night begins. The final endgame condition is using up all your power, which shuts everything off with this long descending drone. I'd say there is cold comfort here. It's a release of tension from checking cameras and shutting doors constantly. Like, there's less information to worry about not having. But
You're
there's
just fucked.
also total absence of action. All you can do is wait for whichever comes first.
You're just
Freddy's
fucked.
blood-curdling scream or the jubilant chimes of 6 a.m. After this first stage of just you
Have
and the
you eaten?
drone,
I did.
we get the second stage where Freddy
You
shows
should
up
play
at the
Amnesia.
door
You should go fuck
and
yourself.
plays his tune, the refrain of
Oh,
an aria commonly
fuck
called
no.
the Toreador March from the opera Carmen by 𝐤𝐳, and played on a music box, once again juxtaposing
I
the
don't
sound
like
of
that.
childish play and lullaby with impending supernatural death. The refrain itself is fitting. It describes the Toreador, the bullfighter who dreams both of the bull's eyes watching them and the love that awaits them if they succeed. Good metaphor for this moment, only to be cut off again by the final stage.
I
Total
don't
silence,
like how that
total
thing is
darkness,
staring.
no more information, no more action, no more.
Eh? What happened to the video?
It's stressful, right?
Oh.
I'm not going to play a jump scare here. I'm just showing how a little silence goes a long way. All of these sounds go a long way.
Yeah, I
They
don't
perform
like that.
functions beyond
Did
just
not
a
like
scary
that, actually.
atmosphere. They deal in the information and agency with which the player controls the game. FNAF 1 doesn't solely rely on sounds to create its atmosphere or to play with the player. The sounds are rather a supplement to everything else. The animatronics don't make any noise on camera, and they still prove scary enough just to look at, especially when they stare right back at you. But then the sounds as they approach the office enhance the experience, supporting the frightening visuals with unsettling and unnatural voices and noise. It's not the only way to craft a horror game soundtrack, but it's a token of playing to audio's strengths, and that is how Five Nights at Freddy's turns a nightmare into a game. I'd like to thank my friend Wolfgang for helping me put
Dang.
together this script, and I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to vote on what music I arrange, get behind-the-scenes looks at my productions, and join my Discord server,
That was
you
cool.
can become a patron using the link.
I did not like that jump. See, did I see a countdown? Yes. Did I still get scared? Yes. And I'm just a girl. I don't know what to say. That's crazy though. I think sound design is like I always comment that whenever I play a game that my favorite part is BGM and sound design. Cause for games like Field of Mystria, it's so all the noises that it makes it's all so satisfying. And then you have these horror games that makes things 10 times more eerie and freaky deaky that like that's so cool. That's very cool. I also realized we could have watched Outlast Trials lore because I played the game, so I can now
Ringing echo.
I can now watch those. Music and sound designs are absolutely the core elements that makes a game what they are. Oh, absolutely. Oh, abso-freaking-lutely. This one is a 2-hour-long video talking about the phone guy. The complicit victim. I can't speak. The complicit victim. Let me pause the music.
A distant call
Is
will lead
volume
to
okay?
one man's unknowing fall. a
Volume
loving
okay.
father, a caring
Volume
staff,
test.
but now he'll face his employment's wrath.
What kind of haiku
Hello,
is this?
everyone.
Oh,
Welcome
fuck
back.
my eyeballs.
Whenever a player steps foot into a new game, it's always helpful
You could
to
be a
have
little
some type
louder.
of tutorial, a guide that teaches players the
I
mechanics
feel like
and
I should shut
systems
the fuck
before they
up,
jump
personally.
too far into the story.
I see
But
my thing
creating
go
a
to the red.
tutorial is easier said than done.
I think a lot of
Making it
my
too
VODs
complex
though,
or
they're
too
always very
tedious
quiet.
can negatively impact a player's experience.
Oh,
The
my
best kind of
eyeballs,
tutorials are
why
the ones
are
that
you
teach you what you have to know,
so-
leave a lasting impression so you can remember how
Gee,
to play the
fucking
game,
Christ.
and then once they fulfill their purpose, vanish like the wind.
Don't
For
do it
Five Nights
again.
at Freddy's,
Oh,
the most
bloody hell.
memorable and reliable vessel for said tutorials has always been our
See, I never
unseen
really
friend,
watched
the Phone Guy.
FNAF
Phone Guy
gameplay.
has had an odd history when it comes to FNAF characters. He's a
Ow.
weird situation where he never appears physically in the series. We only ever hear his voice
Hi,
over
Joe.
different phone calls,
Wait,
hence
why
the
is it
name.
not
For a
working?
good while, he was one of the
Hold
most
on.
important and consistent
Ah.
characters in the franchise, but his time
That's
was
crazy.
incredibly short-lived. Despite that, I would
Hello
say
there.
even to
Hi,
this day, he's still one of the
14.
most iconic human characters. Because of this, I want to properly give him his flowers. But of course, like always, the story of Five Nights at Freddy's is incredibly confusing, with many key plot points being held up by fan speculation and headcanons. So your interpretation about what Phone Guy was really like may be different than mine, and that's completely okay. Comment down below what your personal takeaways are. I love reading them. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and leave a like. Hyping the video also helps immensely if you can.
Jess wasn't here to see that, right? Jess wasn't here to see that, right? She wasn't here to see that? Jess didn't see that? Out of everyone? Jess didn't see that, right? Ah, that's crazy. It's going
If you'd like,
great,
comment down
Ion.
below
Thanks
what
for
FNAF character you'd like to
asking.
see get analyzed
Oh,
next.
me-
I have my eyes on a few
Oh,
specific ones,
me
but I
gee.
always want to keep your
That's-
thoughts in mind
that's
too. With
I'm
that
gonna wear
out of
my
the way,
mask.
let's uncover
let
the
me just put on my
tragedy
mask on.
of the Phone Guy, the first real character
Hi,
in Five Nights
Jill.
at Freddy's.
You saw everyone? Yes, I did.
To start
Wait,
our journey,
what do you
we
mean?
have to go back to the very beginning. If you were to go and revisit the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, something that may
Yes,
stick out is
Jess?
how much it
What
lacks
did
in
I do?
story compared to its sequels.
Oh,
This was
the
before the
eyeballs?
complex multimedia franchise was conceptualized, before the books and movies and spin-offs. In this game, it's just you in
Is
a
the-
room
the-
with
is
four
the-
hulking
is
robotic
the-
beasts hunting
is-
you down.
is this not
While there
bothering
wasn't
anyone
much of
else?
a complex
Holy
story,
shit,
the
I'm getting
characters
flashbangs.
introduced would go on to be iconic in the franchise. We had the made-for animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, the creepy golden Freddy suit that would rarely randomly appear to you, and we had the unseen night guard character we were playing as, Mike Schmidt.
Oh my
But
God.
here's the thing.
I use light
These
mode,
characters
remember?
don't
Dude,
really
crazy.
have much character.
You would
per
air
se.
your own
They have
something
no
else.
personality traits, no development, and none of them even speak. The animatronics are emotionless machines, and Mike is silent throughout the entirety of the game. There is no real
Mike.
character to be found in any of them. The focus in FNAF 1 is primarily on the gameplay and how the animatronics function as obstacles, not as characters. And since Mike in this game is meant to be a self-insert for the audience, he also lacks in personality. That being said, there is one more character introduced in this game that does show personality, who does have character, and even goes through a slight bit
What?
of development. And you meet
Who
him
said that?
as soon as you open the game and start to hear the ringing of
This
a
was the
phone.
only thing I used dark. Dude, you're crazy. Come back to the dark. Yeah, literally.
Hello?
Who meow?
Hello?
Hello?
I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night.
This is the very first thing you'll hear when you start the game, a voice calling you on the office phone. This character goes unnamed in this game, but the
Who hit
fanbase
up my
collectively
line?
decided to name him the Phone Guy. He
That's
is the
good.
first character in the series to not only have proper voice lines, but to have personality
Back to
traits and an
linking Phone
actual
Guy's
character
peak.
to analyze.
Is Phone Guy peak?
A big thing to note, however, is that despite the phone ringing beforehand, these aren't live phone
Can't go
calls.
back to
They're
the dark side if I
pre-recorded
was never really
messages.
part of
Because
it.
of that, we don't have any actual
Craziness. Thank you for the
conversations
hydrate.
with him. Mike just listens to the calls throughout each night.
I actually worked in that office before you.
And the
I'm
stretch.
Finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact. So
Never stuck.
I know it can be a bit overwhelming,
That's
but I
okay.
can tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll do fine. So let's just focus.
I just can't
on
believe that Air
getting you
uses
through
it
your
and like
first
she's
week,
usually
okay?
in the pitch
Phone
dark.
Guy's role as the previous night guard is extremely important when it comes to his line delivery throughout the nights. His character is going to go through a moderate change as we continue to listen to his calls. But for now, let's keep listening.
Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life.
He seems very ecstatic to
Fazbear
read
Entertainment
this.
is not responsible for damage to property or person.
That's
Upon
crazy.
discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that might sound bad, I know, but there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night.
Oh, they're
Do I
quirky.
blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too.
This dialogue actually shares a lot about Phone
Wait,
Guy's
does he say
priorities
this
and
all?
would pave the way
I
for
did
how
not
the
know he
company
said all
that
this
owns
stuff.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza would be portrayed in future games. Fazbear Entertainment, the company behind the Freddy's characters and locations, created this opening message
I
to
saw
clear themselves of
FNAF, so I
any
joined.
liability.
Hi,
And this
Lightning.
intro
How are
perfectly tells the
you?
audience how negligent they are. Essentially, if you die on the job, the company can take up to 3 months to make it publicly known you're
Yeah,
missing. And
that's
that's
kinda
after
crazy.
they remove
Thanks for
any
the
of the
check-in.
evidence of a fatality. That is a massive red flag for any job. And Phone Guy's immediate downplaying of the danger you're in shows a lot about his character. He says there's nothing to worry about, and those little silly animatronics aren't dangerous, they're just quirky. They are not quirky. They are murdery. Very, very murdery. It's pretty obvious that the Phone Guy may not have our best interest in mind. But the real question is, why is he making this greeting seem like it's not a big deal? Regardless, the call continues on.
So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay.
I want you to
Do
remember
they
this
still?
later. It may
I mean,
seem
if
odd
this
now,
has
but
been
I
an
promise it
abandoned
will make sense
pizzeria,
later.
So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long.
Slowly, Phone Guy does give more information on the animatronics and how they, as he says, wander a bit. Again, he's downplaying something that begs for more questions and clarification. The idea of animatronics
6'7".
wandering around aimlessly, considering the technology available at the time, is not normal. But as he brushed that off, he also gives us this iconic line.
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing.
He's
what
so
your body can do without
casual.
like a robe, you know?
This one quote jump-started the FNAF theory community back in 2014 and is still a major topic even today. The Bite of 87 is by far the most
The Bite
well-known
of
event in the
87.
entire series' history, and it's only ever directly mentioned right here in the first phone call of the first game. While this entry doesn't really have a story, it did have the ripe beginnings of deep lore, something that would only become more prevalent as the series goes on.
Now, concerning your safety, the only real risk to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on.
Phone Guy finally begins to open up about the actual dangerous threats you have to know about. He explains if the animatronics see the player after hours, they wouldn't recognize you as a person. Instead, they would think you were a metal endoskeleton. Of course, this isn't exactly true. We now know that the animatronics are hostile towards adults specifically because the main villain of the series, William Afton, killed at least 5 children and stuffed their bodies into the animatronic suits. This in turn caused the animatronics of the series to become haunted with the souls of the children, and the rest is history. I do find his dialogue fascinating, however, because it's obvious that he's trying to slowly build up to revealing the true danger of working here, but he's hesitant. Of course, he does have to finally tell us what will happen.
Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices. especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcefully pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort
Wait, let me
and
grab
death.
real quick.
The only part of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up.
The way Phone Guy goes on about all these awful, horrible things that will happen if you get caught fascinate me. He says it all in a hesitant, uncomfortable way, like he's seen
He's
firsthand
like, by
what
the
the
way,
animatronics are
here's
capable
all
of.
the
He
warnings
was downplaying a
that
lot
was
of
not
the
part of the
dangers
job
his
description
earlier,
till
but as he
now.
talks about the truth of what's going
And
on, the
as you're
real and
already
present
in
threat, you can
the
hear him
pizzeria.
accept it. Except that right now, he's in that position. When he started talking about the way your eyeballs would pop out of the mask, he sounded scared. Remember, these calls were recorded the prior week to Mike working there. Phone Guy still has to deal with Freddy and the gang, just like how we are. The reality of the situation he's currently in is slowly hitting him as he warns Mike about these dangers, and he's scared of what he'll have to face.
But hey, first station of the breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night.
I love how abrupt the ending of this call is. It's like he remembered how long this has gone on for and realized he should let the future night guard focus on the task at hand. If this little tutorial feels like it's missing something, it's because it is. In his haste to end the call, Phone Guy forgot to actually teach us how to fight the animatronics. He just threw in a basic idea of what we should be doing at the very end of the call. Check the cameras to see where the animatronics are, close the doors when we need to, and conserve power. But I don't think that makes this a bad introduction per se, especially since Night 1 isn't really that difficult to beat. Bonnie and Chica are the only two animatronics active, so all you have to do is close the doors when you see them. It's pretty easy to pick up on, even if you're brand new to the game. I think this first call does a better job at setting up the atmosphere. You're playing as someone trapped
See,
in a
if I
room
was to
with
play
very
this
few
game,
tools
I
to
would already
defend
fail
yourself,
from
and
night
those said
1.
tools are also
I would
on a
be so
limited
dead
battery that
already.
you have to conserve.
100%.
While you're figuring this out for yourself, the guy that's supposed to be a comforting, helpful presence continually downplays how dangerous this job really is. And only near the end of his call does he finally relent and tell you the seriousness of the situation. All of this at once can help make the player feel stressed and alone. That's why I actually really like this introduction. It is a bad tutorial on how to play the game, but that's kind of the point. You'd think a voice talking to you during the night would be more comforting, but here it's the opposite. Phone Guy's role in the early game is to make you feel as uncomfortable and isolated as possible, and I think he does that with flying colors. Phone Guy is voiced by none other than the creator of the game series himself, Scott Cawthon. While he doesn't have many roles to his name, Scott has had a history of voice acting in his previous projects before he made FNAF. And since this entire game was made only by him, it makes sense that he would also be voicing the only speaking role. I think he does a pretty great job. The random ums and stutters make the call feel authentic. And to go off from there, let's talk a bit about how Phone Guy's character is portrayed so far. To me, he reads as someone who isn't exactly a bad person, but is a minimizer when it comes to dangers present. A minimizer is somebody who reduces the importance of something to the least possible amount. In this situation, that being the dangers that are currently present. He knows that working at Freddy's is dangerous, but he dismisses the threats in an attempt to reassure Mike. I don't think he necessarily needs Mike to stay in this position. He already said he's finishing up his last week. By the time Mike takes his spot, he's already finished up his shifts. I think it's more because of this quote right here.
So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay.
Phone Guy is very passionate about Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the impact it has on kids. It says a lot that all of his other lines have a nervous tone to them, but this one is completely serious. He's being 100% genuine here. He cares about the characters of Freddy's and how much the children love them, and this will play into his character more in the future. He most likely wants Mike to stay in this job position because he wants the Freddy's characters to be guarded at night, so that they can continue to bring smiles to the children. This is pretty much all we can take away from the first phone call. The first call is the longest of the entire game, and the others are much shorter with less character to analyze, but they do still hold some important information we can glean.
How are you?
After beating Night 1, you're immediately launched into Night 2. Once again, you are greeted by another message from the Phone Guy.
Hello? Well, if you're hearing this and you made it to day 2, congrats.
Oh my
I won't
god.
talk quite as long this time since Freddy and his friends tend to become more active as the week progresses. It might be a good idea to peek at those cameras while I talk, just to make sure everyone's in their proper place, you know.
Unlike the previous night, Phone Guy almost immediately starts to give us some actual helpful tips that are useful as the nights progress. You probably already figured out that you should be looking at the cameras while he talks, but having that reminder is an alert to the audience that the animatronics are going to start moving faster than they were before. I imagine that Phone Guy realized in hindsight that he didn't give us any proper information on how to combat the animatronics, because during night 2 he gives us way more information than before. Scott most likely had the time to rewrite and re-record these lines if this was a mistake, so I like to imagine this was done on purpose.
Interestingly enough, Freddy himself doesn't come off stage very often. I've heard he becomes a lot more active in the dark though, so hey, I guess that's one more reason not to run out of power, right?
This is our proper introduction to Freddy's first mechanic. If you ran out of power the night before, you've probably realized that if you do use up all your power, Freddy will eventually appear outside your door and try to kill you after playing the Toreador March on his music box.
I don't like that.
It's probably one of the most iconic parts of the first Five Nights at Freddy's game.
I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights. There are blind spots in your camera views.
Don't like that.
Blind spots happen to be right outside your doors. So if you can't find something or someone on your cameras, be sure to check the door lights. You might only have a few seconds to react. Not that you would be in any danger, of course. I'm not implying that.
This next chunk of dialogue is interesting to me, as Phone Guy gives us some really useful info, then almost immediately
wondering
falls back
what kind
into
of
his
listing,
minimizer
like, was this on
behavior. This part of the
Indeed
call
or
gives
was
you a
this on
clue
like
how to play the
Craigslist
game
of
in the
like,
later
hey,
nights by not
you want a
following Bonnie and
job
Chica
to
with the
be
cameras and focusing
a
instead
night
on
guard
the door
at
lights.
an
Bonnie and
abandoned
Chica
pizzeria?
can only attack when they are directly outside your left and right doors, and these spots are not covered by the cameras. So shutting the door only when you see them in the light can help you save on power. This information is incredibly helpful, but then Phone Guy immediately follows it up with, not that you'd be in any danger, of course. Once again, he's downplaying the threats that are very obviously present in the establishment. It's almost funny how he goes from genuinely helpful to deterring in a matter of seconds.
Also, check on the curtain in Pirate Cove from time to time. The character in there seems unique in that he becomes more active if the cameras remain off for long periods of time. I guess he doesn't like being watched. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure you have everything under control. Talk to you soon.
And this is our introduction to the brand new animatronic threat that we have to face, Foxy. Unlike Bonnie and Chica, Foxy's mechanics are a bit more complicated to figure out on your own. You have to check him constantly on the Pirate Cove camera to see his progression states. Only once he's gone from the cove will he finally run towards your office. To fend him off, you simply have to close the door when he's running down the hall. He'll bang on it a few times, then he'll go back to his cove. These instructions kinda had to be included in a call.
I could never play this game. I don't have the agility for this.
On night 1, though there is an extremely rare chance of you triggering him. I honestly think introducing him in night 2 and pairing it with an explanation on his mechanics was the best way to go. It makes it so the player isn't caught randomly by Foxy not knowing how to counter him, and when night 2 rolls around, they can start to find a rhythm juggling Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica. As for Foam Guy's character, there's not too much to say for this call. He's mostly focused on giving you important information about the animatronics, but I do find it interesting how he pays special attention to Foxy. This won't be the last time we see him focus on Foxy specifically. Of course, he has a unique mechanic in this game that needs explaining, but Phone Guy talking about him specifically will become important later. Phone Guy's focus on information during this call also reads to me as him slowly opening up. I don't think it's appropriate to say he gets more comfortable with Mike. He never actually met him since these are pre-recorded calls. But I do think he gets more comfortable with the idea of letting this new guy in on all the tricks he's figured out when it comes to fighting the animatronics. They're in the same position after all, so maybe he's starting to feel a sort of kinship with his future successor. That's pretty much all we can take away from the second call. As we move into the next section, we will see Phone Guy slowly unravel throughout the rest of the game. And trust me,
is there fan art between like Phone Guy and what's the name? Mike?
Night 3 is where I would say the difficulty starts to properly ramp up. This is the night where all four
My
characters
questions always
are
just lead
active
back to,
threats for
is
the
there
first
fan art?
time, and it's your big test on if
And
you
if so,
understand all the
Link,
mechanics
sauce?
and can repel the animatronics effectively. And of course, we have another call from the phone guy to listen to while we defend ourselves.
Shut up, phone guy.
Hello. Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long. I mean, you know, they usually move on to other things by now. I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure.
I better not take up too much of your time. Things start getting real tonight.
Almost immediately,
Real?
phone guy blurts out something he probably wasn't supposed to say. He does try to cover it, but that actually makes no sense in hindsight. Why would someone immediately move on to another job when they haven't even done a full week at their current job? It also probably doesn't help that he all but confirms most of the other night guards in Mike's position die by now. I think this is another hint that phone guy is getting more comfortable talking about the real things going on at Freddy's. So comfortable, in fact, he starts to talk a bit more freely.
Hey, listen, I had an idea. If you happen to get caught and want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit, try playing dead. You know, go limp. Then there's a chance that maybe they'll think that you're an empty costume instead. Then again, if they think you're an empty costume, they might try to stuff a metal skeleton into you. I wonder how that would work. Yeah, never mind.
Has that happened?
It's best just not to get caught.
I find this little ramble he goes on morbidly curious due to his slow realization of how this plan may play out, but I also find it kinda sad. It's obvious that Phone Guy is getting more nervous and worried as his week goes on, facing the exact same foes as we are. With all his time fighting the animatronics, noticing how much more difficult things are becoming, he's been attempting to come up with some kind of plan if he is caught. Obviously, the idea of getting an endoskeleton shoved into you instead of you getting shoved into a suit is like 10 times worse. Going limp is definitely the worst thing to do in that situation, but it shows that Phone Guy is scared. Scared enough that he's using this call as a way to speak his idea out loud and see how it may be viable, and instead he only realizes it may make things worse. It's sad to see him in this state. I wouldn't exactly say he's confiding this idea to Mike, rather he's just speculating and rambling on, trying to find a way to live as his inability to manage the animatronics becomes worse. It also says a lot that at the end of the call, you can hear him suddenly snap back to reality and abruptly end the message.
Okay, I'll leave you to it. See you on the flip side.
He ended it so abruptly, in fact, that he forgot something. This is the night that Freddy Fazbear himself becomes an active threat, and he is the most complicated animatronic to deal with. From night 3 onward, you will have to repeatedly check both Freddy on the main stage and Foxy in Pirate's Cove. Unlike with Foxy, if you don't check Freddy enough, he will move to another camera with a loud, low laugh. After this, Freddy will not return to his starting position. He will be locked to whatever camera he's on unless you stop checking him. Every time you stop checking on Freddy, he will slowly move down your right hall and eventually stand in the right hallway quarter camera. The only way to stop Freddy after this point is to close the door before he laughs again and enters your office.
Oh my god.
He is by far the most complicated and difficult animatronic to deal with in the first game. Pretty fitting for the namesake of the franchise. And Phone
It's
Guy
so unfortunate.
completely
I'm still
skipped
getting
over him.
scared
Because
through
he was
the
so focused
video.
on his potential survival
God.
strategy, the player is forced to learn how Freddy functions the hard way, with trial and error. It took a while for the fanbase to figure out how to deal with Freddy, especially when it came to the challenges like 420 mode, where you're basically forced to keep him in your right hall corner the entire night. So why does Phone Guy not tell us about
What the
Freddy?
heck?
Well, that's the sad part. Once you figure out Freddy in Best Night 3, you move on to Night 4, where you are once again treated to another phone call. This time, I'm going to let you hear the whole thing at once. Here it is.
Oh, hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen.
He does
I'll
not
be around to
sound.
send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you. When I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad.
What?
Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know.
Huh?
Oh no.
What? Oh.
And thus, we learn the fates of the phone guy. During the end of his last
He
week, he was
died?
unable to deal with all of the animatronics at once, and was forcibly stuffed into a Freddy suit. The saddest part about this is that there is absolutely nothing we could do. This already happened last week before Mike even started his job. Maybe phone guy tried to hold out in the suit for a while, but judging by the death screen we get if Mike is stuffed into one, it's unlikely that he survived.
Thank you.
What's
Thank
worse
you for
is phone
following
guy
the
already
mafia.
said that a missing persons report
What
would
the
only
heck?
be sent out after 90 days, or when all traces of evidence are gone. Even if we were to check the empty heads, we wouldn't find anything, not even a body to turn into the police. Phone guy is long gone before we even started the game. The fanbase has speculated for a long time which animatronic killed
That's
Phone
kinda
Guy,
crazy.
but I believe I have a good idea judging on the evidence. In the call, we can hear banging on the door, a scratchy moan, the Toreador March music box, then finally, the famous Golden Freddy roar. These are all things from all the different animatronics in the game. The banging from Foxy, the moaning from Bonnie and Chica, the music box from Freddy, and of course Golden Freddy's roar. While individually, these are all
That's
things the animatronics do in gameplay, they can all be applied to one character. While Foxy does bang on your left door, Freddy laughs before he tries to get into your office once he's next to your right door.
Jesus.
Presumably, he would also bang on your door once he can't get in. Since both Bonnie and Chica moan once they're in the office, it makes sense that both Foxy and Freddy would be able to do the same thing. They just jump scare you before it could happen. Freddy is also the only character to have the Toreador March music box, and on top of that, the iconic Golden Freddy roar is actually just a slowed down version of the normal jump scare sound, which all four animatronics can perform. Putting all the evidence together, I believe it's pretty likely that Phone Guy was caught by Freddy Fazbear himself, which would also lend credence to why we never got any tips for fighting Freddy in the Night 3 phone call. Phone Guy never figured out how to fight Freddy, but
Oh.
Mike did. Mike survived and succeeded where Phone Guy failed. It's a bittersweet moment of hindsight. As for Night 4's gameplay, it's pretty much the same as the previous night with a greater difficulty. All the animatronics are out to play, now it's up to you to fend them off. There is a phone call left for you in Night 5, but since Phone Guy is now dead, it's a bit different. I'll let you take a listen.
Wait, what? Yeah, who will be talking on night 5? Okay. Okay, Valorant, you boy. Oh, spit the bars. Oh, he's getting that clip. Getting that ace. Yup.
Yeah, pretty creepy. Night 5's gameplay is just like Nights 3 and 4, only with a higher difficulty of course. If you beat the previous nights, you should know how to beat this one. After completing the game, you receive a check for your hard work and unlock Night 6. Unfortunately,
Someone say
both
Valorant
Night
you
6
boy. Oh
and
my
the unlockable Night
god.
7,
It's another
aka the
Valorant you
custom
boy.
night,
Hi,
don't have any
chill.
phone calls for you to listen to. Thus ends Phone Guy's story in the first
It's
5
another
Nights at
Valorant you
Freddy's
boy.
game. To say he's a mixed bag would be putting it lightly. Phone
Actually,
Guy is such a
I don't think Chill
fascinating
would be-
early
okay,
character
I
in
think-
FNAF. Because I would say he's our first example of the series
I don't
playing with
think
the
Chill
idea
you
of
would
a
be a
morally
Valorant you
gray
boy.
character.
Probably
I don't think he's evil per
a
se.
VR
It's
chat you
obvious
boy.
that he has no ill intent to the night guard he leaves these tapes for. But he isn't exactly a good person either. He downplays so much of the shady events happening at Freddy's, and it takes a while for him to slowly give us the information we need.
Wow.
Maybe he is doing it for a
Phone
good
Guy
reason.
died.
He obviously
Reese's
loves the
Pieces.
Freddy's characters and wants someone to watch after them for the kids, but that doesn't excuse his minimizing, because he's putting this ahead of the future night guard's safety. That being said, he does slowly give us all the information he has when it comes to fighting the animatronics, only for him to swiftly bite the dust soon after. It leaves you with mixed feelings on the guy, but I don't think it's a stretch to
Oh,
say
shit.
it's still sad to see him go out like that. So you're probably wondering, if Phone Guy is now dead, how is there still so much of the video left? Well, that answer is given to us in the next game. Five
Oh.
Nights at Freddy's 2 is my favorite entry in the entire series. I know that
always
mechanically it's
forget
probably aged
about
the worst out of all the original
Five Nights
games,
at Freddy's
but there's
2.
something about the reaction-based mechanics that just sit well with me. I adore going back to this game and experiencing the thrill and challenge, but even then, FNAF 2 is
Yes?
also incredibly important to the series, as this is where the deep
That is
lore
such a late
really started
reaction.
taking root. It introduced secret minigames
playing
that
a game
told
right now?
abstract stories, foreshadowed future events that would go on to pave the narrative.
VR
and of course it introduced a ton of brand new characters for us to love.
What,
the
no?
story here is that there's a
You
brand
don't like
new
it?
Freddy Fazbear's
Wait,
Pizza
Chica's so
restaurant
body
that just
tea.
opened up. You once again take up
Body
the role
tea.
of a night guard
I'm
with
in
brand
deadlock.
new game mechanics to fight
There
against
it
your
is.
new cast of animatronic threats. However, just like the previous game,
Deadlock.
there needs to be some
I
type of
refuse to play
guide so the
Deadlock.
player can
Okay,
learn
no.
how to fight against this large cast of animatronics. So on the first night, we hear an incredibly familiar voice.
Hello and welcome to your new summer
Oh
job
my
at the
god.
new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Phone guy,
I'm here
you're
to talk you through some of
back.
the things you can expect to see
He
during your first
didn't
week
die.
here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path.
Calling this a surprise
Body
is an
tea, chica.
understatement. Somehow, Phone Guy is back in action and sounds completely fine after his supposed death in the previous game. How in the heck is this possible? Well,
Yeah.
that answer is given to us at the end of the game.
Oh.
When we beat the main 5 nights, we receive a paper check made out to 𝐤𝐵 FitzGerald, the new
Oh.
night guard we're playing as. What's special about this check is, unlike the previous game, it actually has a date labeled, November 12th, 1987. Considering Phone Guy mentioned the bite of 87 in the previous game in reference to a past
Oh.
event, that means that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is not later in the timeline, it's earlier. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a prequel to Five Nights at Freddy's 1. The reason I'm telling you this now and not after we've listened to the calls is because this game being a prequel plays heavily into Phone Guy's character and how his behavior in this game starkly contrasts his behavior in the previous game. Knowing this game is a prequel from the get-go makes the calls easier to understand in terms of character progression. This game also has the most Phone Guy calls out of any other game in the series, so let's jump into them and let him continue on, shall we?
Okay.
Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old locations, you know. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety.
The first major thing I
Suspicious.
notice is that Phone Guy is much calmer than he is in his
suspicious.
calls from FNAF 1. The stuttering and nervous tone is absent, and he overall sounds a lot more professional. It also gives us another new piece of info that will be expanded on in later entries. The Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from FNAF 2 is not the original location. There was an older location that came before them, and it too had something bad happen before it was shut down. I guess this pizza chain can't catch a break.
They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility.
Facial
They even let them
recognition.
walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Hey,
Oh.
we should be paying them to guard you.
Phone Guy continues on to talk about the brand new animatronics in the FNAF 2 establishment. This
Interesting.
line has been famously nicknamed
Body
the toy
tea.
animatronics. These are cuter and friendlier versions of the original Freddy characters. To top it all off, they have high-tech facial recognition and even more mobility than the originals. Guess that means our new night guard 𝐤𝐵 should be safe, right?
Now that being said, no new system is without its kinks.
There it is.
You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week but
Oh.
complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers
Yeah, the
don't
day
really
shift
have
is
an
much
explanation
safer.
for this, the working theory is
And then he
that
got bit.
the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office.
This is interesting to me. In the original FNAF game, it's clear Phone Guy knows that the characters free roam at night and that they're highly dangerous to be around. However, in this game, he seems to wholeheartedly believe that the animatronics are just glitching out, and this tells us two things.
Don't like
the
that.
first is that Phone Guy hasn't experienced what's going on during the night shift, at least not yet. This is probably why he sounds so calm. He doesn't recognize the
Hey.
severity and danger these animatronics pose to the night staff. The second is that it's pretty likely Fazbear Entertainment also believes this working theory. They genuinely believe that these animatronics have some problems in their code, which is why they still keep them active during the day. However, considering the fact that they still try to open a new restaurant in the future after the disappearances at their previous locations, I don't think they would change much if they did know about the animatronic hauntings.
So our temporary solution is this. There's a music box over by the prize counter, and it's rigged to be wound up remotely. So just every once in a while, switch over to the prize counter video feed and wind it up for a few seconds. It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them. And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without its costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved. You can put it on any time and leave it on for as long as you want. Eventually anything that wandered in will wander back out.
Unlike the first game, 𝐻𝐻𝐺 actually does a really good job explaining the mechanics at your disposal. The music box is your main way of dealing with the puppet, a marionette-looking animatronic that resides behind the prize counter. The only way you can keep it at bay is by repeatedly going back to the prize counter camera and holding down the button to wind the box. This is one of my personal favorite mechanics, as that constant timer ticking down gives a sense of urgency to the player. It forces you to try and memorize how much time is left when you're balancing everything else. A little detail I like is that the music box won't wind
I don't
down
have
until
the
𝐻𝐻𝐺
the
mentions it
brain
during the
cells to
call,
do
roughly
that.
around 2 a.m. I'm glad this is built into the game so new players don't get immediately blindsided by an early puppet activation. The mask, meanwhile, is your way of dealing with basically everything else. Putting it on when one of the animatronics are either in front of you or in the vents will make them recognize you as another animatronic. In due time, they'll leave your office and wander somewhere else. Flipping the mask will limit your sight and make you unable to flip up the monitor to wind the box, so finding a balance between the two is super important. In terms of explaining how the game works, the first call is much more concise, and in terms of why, it's probably because 𝐻𝐻𝐺 doesn't have to try and hide anything in this game. He does mention how the animatronics might think you're an endoskeleton without a costume, but that's a footnote, not the real reason why this is happening. To him and Fazbear Entertainment, these violent tendencies are glitches in the system. Judging from the fact that the previous night guard still works at the establishment and was transferred to the day shift, we could assume nobody has died because of these animatronics, unlike the animatronics from the previous game. In the future of FNAF 1, these animatronics have been maiming people for so long that 𝐻𝐻𝐺 is a nervous wreck, desperately trying to reassure his successor despite the obvious danger. But this is before those incidents, before the deaths, before the bite of 87. Right now, 𝐻𝐻𝐺 is just an ordinary Fazbear employee,
just freaky
talking to a new
animatronics.
recruit about how to do his
Nothing
job.
bad,
No
just- they just a
secrets,
little freaky,
no
a little
nervousness,
quirky.
just honesty.
Something else worth mentioning is kind of the quirky modern design of the building. You may have noticed there are no doors for you to close. But hey, you have a light, and even though your flashlight can run out of power, the building cannot. So don't worry about the place going dark.
Once again, he
Don't
gives
quote me on
concise and
this.
helpful information. While we may not have the doors anymore, the flashlight and vent lights are more than enough,
And feel free
considering
to
we
disagree
also
if you
have the
think I'm
mask to
incorrect.
deal with the animatronic onslaught.
What are you about to say, Andre?
You should be golden. Check the
Oh,
lights,
I
throw
don't
the
like
Freddy
that.
head if you need
The
to.
animatronics do get a bit
keep the music
quirky at
box
night.
wound up. Piece of
Oh,
cake.
you don't
Have a good night, and I'll talk to you
say.
tomorrow.
Overall, 𝐻𝐻𝐺's first call in
just a little
1987
quirky,
is
you
10
know.
times better at being a proper tutorial than the one in the
Oh,
future.
silly.
While the first call in FNAF 1 was better at setting up the ambiance, this one is so much better at helping the player learn the game's mechanics. But that's because the uneasiness of the first game came with the unsafe environment. The uneasiness in this game comes with the fact that we know these things are dangerous, but nobody else does. The first night of FNAF 2 isn't too difficult. You're only dealing with the toy animatronics tonight, so all you have to do is keep the music box wound up and flip on the mask when an animatronic is near.
This
As
is
long as
only
you're
night
attentive,
one?
you should win easily. After you beat the first night, you'll experience a short creepy cutscene, and then you'll immediately be launched into the next night. This next call we'll listen to is actually tied with the Night 3 call of this game for being my favorite of the entire series.
Oh my goodness.
Hello? See, I told you your first night wouldn't be a problem. You're a natural.
Something I immediately like about this call is the phrasing. In FNAF 1, Phone Guy doesn't really give any assurance or praise to Mike after he survives the first couple of nights. In Night 3 specifically, the first thing he blurts out is, "Most people don't survive this long." Not very good words of encouragement. In FNAF 2, however, Phone Guy gives Jeremy a bit of praise and reassurance. The way he calls him a natural with such a proud tone to his voice warms my heart. It gives off such fatherly vibes.
By now,
Oh my
I'm sure
God,
you've
he's
noticed the
proud of
older
us.
models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know?
Who else
And the
up
smell,
getting quirky at night?
So the company decided to just go
Not
in a
me,
whole
I'm
new
in
direction
bed. Actually,
and make them
I'm
super
probably working.
kid-friendly. Those older ones
Actually,
shouldn't be able to
I'm
walk
probably
around.
just in the
But if
trenches.
they do, the whole Freddy head trick should work on them too, so whatever.
This is our introduction to the other half of the
Did
threats
you
we have to
win your
face in
deadlock
FNAF 2,
game?
the withered animatronics. The versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy from the old location Phone Guy mentioned in the previous call are all stationed in the parts and service
Freddy
room of the
staring at
restaurant,
me like that?
lying in ruin. After being used for parts, they become withered down, missing hands or a face in Bonnie's situation.
Oh.
That means the threats you have to face has now been upped from 6 to 10 if you count the puppet. While most of them can be dealt with by using the mask, there is one outlier.
I love those old characters. Did you ever see Foxy the Pirate? Oh wait, Foxy. Oh yeah, Foxy. Hey listen, that one was always a bit twitchy. I'm not sure if the Freddy head trick will work on Foxy. If
Huh?
for some reason he activates during the night, and you see him standing at the far end of the hall, just flash your light at him from time to time. Those older models would always get disoriented with bright light. It would cause a system restart or something. Come to think of it, you might want to try that on any room where something undesirable might be. It might hold them in place for a few seconds. That glitch might have carried over to the newer models too.
And now we learn
That's
about the final
crazy.
mechanic that this game has to offer, that being
I
Foxy.
gotta be so bad.
Foxy
I
is
look
the
like
only
they
other
set me on
animatronic
fire.
in the game to have a
Dare,
mechanic unique to
it's
him,
okay.
and he's the reason why
Buddha
this
peek.
game is considered so difficult. If
Lock
Foxy
in on
appears in
peek.
your hallway, you have to constantly flash your light to make him go away, which can quickly use up your battery power in your flashlight. Balancing Foxy, the music box, and the mask is the main gameplay loop of FNAF 2. If you can find a way to balance all three of these things at once, then you have fully mastered the game.
Dude, I'll be
It all
so
comes down
bad
to
at
reaction
this.
time and planning ahead. When it comes to character, however,
How
we
are
actually got to
you?
learn something completely new about Phone Guy. Foxy the Pirate is his favorite. I really like how for a moment, he was reminiscing about the classic Freddy's characters, maybe some happy memories from when he was a kid, most likely revolving around Foxy, and then remembered,
heck no,
nuts,
tech
Foxy.
no.
This lines up with him singling out Foxy on night 2 of the first game, being almost a direct parallel. In both nights, Foxy is introduced as an antagonist, he gets a special call out in the call for that night, and has a unique mechanic that you have to deal with very differently than the other animatronics. It's actually pretty sad to look back on the previous game, because Phone Guy doesn't even call Foxy by his name during that call. The
Any
animatronics
cereal?
were
Ooh,
trying
what
to
kind
kill
of
him at that
cereal?
point, so it's very likely that the attachment he felt
kind of
toward them
cereal,
was
you
slowly
nominal?
starting to run thin as those nights went on.
One more thing. Don't forget the music box. I'll be honest, I never liked that puppet thing. It's always thinking, and it can go anywhere.
It's thinking.
I don't think the Freddy mask will fool us,
Raisin Bran,
so
damn.
Don't forget
No
the
kidding.
music box.
The last part of this call tells us
Frosted
something else about
Mini
the Phone
Wheats?
Guy and about the puppet. Unlike
See,
the
I
other
don't wanna call
animatronics,
you
which again,
Unc.
Phone Guy has most likely not seen acting violent towards the staff.
I hope, but I
he's
also
uncomfortable
kind of fuck
around
with
the
Frosted
puppet
Mini Wheats.
specifically. It's a very odd choice
Oh,
of
now
words
that's
to say
body
that
tea.
it's always thinking. I wouldn't describe any mindless machine as something that thinks.
Why is
Of
all
course,
these-
we
all
know that
these
the
newer
puppet is
puppets,
haunted
or
by
I
the
guess older
first
puppets,
child
body
William
tea.
Afton ever killed, his business partner Henry's daughter, Charlie. Phone Guy's assessment during this call is meant to be our first clue on the puppet being way more than what it seems to be, and would eventually lead to it becoming a major part of the series' history.
Anyway, I'm sure it won't be a problem. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I like how even though the ending of this call is abrupt, it doesn't feel as abrupt as the calls in the previous game. Post Night 1, all of the FNAF 1 calls don't really flow to their ending naturally, and a large part of that is because of Phone Guy's nervous, almost manic state of mind. But in this game, it's pure awkwardness. It's pretty hard not to sound like a weirdo after telling your coworkers that you think one of the animatronics can think. With this call, all of the mechanics of FNAF 2 have been fully explained. All of the animatronics, save for Foxy and the puppet, all enter your office in the same way, and can all be repelled by popping on the Freddy mask. Because of this, all of the calls from now on will be focused on giving cryptic lore that'll be expanded on later in the series, and show Phone Guy's slow transition into the nervous voice on the phone we all know and love.
The lore keeper.
After another creepy cutscene, Night 3 starts up and we are treated to another call.
Hello? See, I told you you wouldn't have any problems. Did, Foxy ever appear in the hallway? Probably not. I was just curious.
Phone Guy immediately opens up the call by asking if Foxy was in the hallway, and I choose to read this as Phone Guy being hopeful that Foxy may still be functioning. Since he hasn't worked a night shift, he most likely found out about Foxy's aversion to light from the previous night guard. So I like to think he's hopeful that his favorite animatronic may still be functional.
Like I said, he was always my favorite. They tried to remake Foxy, you know? They thought the first one was too scary, so they redesigned him to be more kid-friendly and put him in Kids Cove to keep the toddlers entertained, you know. But kids these days just can't keep their hands to themselves. The staff literally had to put Foxy back together at the end of every shift. Eventually, they just stopped trying and left him as some kind of take-apart, put-back-together attraction. Now he's just a mess of parts. I think the employees refer to him as just the Mangle.
This explains why the supposed toy Foxy looks like this abomination. The Mangle is definitely one of the most iconic characters in the series, and it's easy to see why. The white and pink colors of the outer shell clashing against the exposed innards of the metal endoskeleton make for a striking visual. It perfectly showcases the original idea of FNAF, kid-friendly animatronics being turned into terrifying monsters. But in Universe, it also showcases some of the early flaws of Fazbear Entertainment as a company, flaws that would continue to be present in its future. The idea of an animatronic being easily ripped apart by children and having to be put back together at the end of every day is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. If these are state-of-the-art machines, then they shouldn't come apart super easily, especially if it's a toddler doing it. I think the original idea was to have the old animatronics be retrofitted, and the smell of the old suits probably deterred them from going in that direction. But I also think Fazbear Entertainment saw the possibility of cutting costs by making the toy animatronics out of cheaper, more plastic-based parts, and using parts of the original metal animatronics to save on even more of the potential costs. The issue is, these animatronics are much more brittle than the originals. This could explain why Mangle is so easily ripped apart by kids, why Toy Chica's beak can be detached from her face, and why all of the animatronics' eyes can go completely dark, almost like the whites of their eyes fall out. It's obvious that Phone Guy isn't really a fan of the newer animatronics, especially the new Foxy. He's an old head, and you know what? I respect that. He likes the originals better, and the new versions have been nothing but trouble for the staff. Speaking of being trouble, Phone Guy gives us some important info in this next part.
Oh hey, before I go, I wanted to ease your mind about any rumors you might have heard lately. You know how these local stories come and go and seldom mean anything. I can personally assure you that whatever is going on out there, however tragic it may be, has nothing to do with our establishment. It's just all rumor and speculation.
Very confident.
People trying to make a buck, you know. Our guard during the day has reported nothing unusual, and he's on watch from opening till close.
There is a lot to dissect here, so let's start with what's actually being said. Apparently, there are some rumors going around about something involving Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. We aren't told exactly what the rumors are about yet, but we can gather from the way Phone Guy talks about them that they're anything but good. He tells us that the things that are going on out there have nothing to do with the establishment. The way he says this sounds genuine, like he actually believes that these are just rumors. There's no stuttering, no pauses. He sounds sure of himself. himself.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
seems
think
very
this is Phone Guy speaking on
confident
behalf of
about it.
Fazbear Entertainment. I think this is his thoughts. That means that, realizing it or not, he's already started becoming more like the Phone Guy we've seen in the future. Just like in FNAF 1, Phone Guy is minimizing, though this is in a very small way. These are just rumors at this point without any hard evidence to back it up. But without realizing it, he's downplaying something very serious that might be happening behind the scenes. And he's gonna pay for that later.
Okay, well anyway, hang in there and I'll talk with you tomorrow.
And that's pretty much all we can get from this call. As we move into the next section, we'll watch Phone Guy's fall as he becomes much more in line with the voice we're used to listening to. From this point on, we're going to notice a deterioration of the professional, truthful Phone Guy we've seen in this game. Those rumors were the writing on the wall, and this next call only confirms our fears. Small note, but I do like that Phone Guy is still very supportive of Jeremy and his success in his first week, even now.
Okay, so just to update you, there's been somewhat of an investigation going on. We may end up having to close for a few days, I don't know. I want to emphasize, though, that it's really just a precaution. Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoing. These things happen sometimes. It'll all get sorted out in a few days. Just keep an eye on things and I'll keep you posted.
Did you notice a change? Phone Guy is once again minimizing, only this is a lot worse than the night before.
Is
He's
this when
still
the
giving
bite of
Jeremy
87 is
most of the
happening?
information, telling him about the ongoing investigation and trying to ease his mind. But did you notice what he didn't tell him? What the investigation was actually about.
Yeah.
Phone Guy doesn't tell Jeremy what's really going on. He dances around the topic, just like he does with the previous accidents at Freddy Fazbear's in FNAF 1. On top of that, he also starts to throw in small robotic answers like Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoings. He doesn't say the company doesn't think anything is wrong, like you would when you're talking to your coworker. He says it like he's being interviewed, like he's already given that answer multiple times before and it slipped into this conversation, like he was on autopilot. It's more than likely he's been answering questions from the authorities during the day shift and this is how management told him to answer them. It does still seem like he's on Jeremy's side, however, because he does say he'll keep him posted on future matters. He hasn't gone fully off the deep end yet, but things only get worse as the call continues.
Just as a side note though, try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics side if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems, we're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost
They're acting more
aggressive towards
quirky
the
than
staff.
usual?
They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare.
Well, that's a red flag. I think this is meant to indicate that, whether Phone Guy and Fazbear Entertainment know it or not, the animatronics are becoming more outwardly hostile towards people. I don't necessarily think that the toys are haunted with the souls of the children. It's a bit unclear if the toys ever had any children's souls in them. The second FNAF movie even implies that Charlotte is the only ghost haunting any of the animatronics in the second game. I think the most likely theory, to me anyway, is that the toy animatronics were never haunted. Afton just reprogrammed their facial recognition software to target all adults rather than just the felons and predators. The withered animatronics, however, make way more sense to have the body stuffed into. They have way more metal inside than plastic. They're kept far away from prying eyes so nobody would investigate them for a while, and they shouldn't be active. I think it's actually pretty likely that the withered animatronics have had souls bound to them from the second night onwards, which explains why they would still be able to function even without hands, arms, or even a face. Regardless, Phone Guy at the very least is noticing a change with the animatronics, and he's starting to get a lot more cautious and a lot more nervous as the week goes on.
Anyway, hang tight, it'll all pass. Good night.
As you can see, Phone Guy has begun to change into the scared corporate apologist we see in the previous game. His minimizing is getting worse, his tone is becoming more nervous, and we even get his first stumble in this call. This part to be exact.
We may end up having to close for a few days, I don't know.
You can tell that he is much more uncomfortable during that line specifically too. Like he's not certain if the restaurant will be closed for a few days, a few weeks, or maybe more. It's also the very first time he's stumbled over his words. He's been very clear up until now. Regardless, that's all we can take from this call. The Night 5 phone call is where things really amp up. So let's move into the next section, shall we?
The falling apart.
The end of the week is here. It's time for night 5. Let's take a listen to the phone call.
Oh, hey, good job, night 5. Hey, keep
Hi,
a close
Uva.
eye on things
How are
tonight,
you?
okay? From what I understand, the building is on lockdown.
Building is on
no one's allowed in or
lockdown?
out, you know, especially concerning any previous employees.
Wait.
When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available.
Things have gone from bad to worse. Apparently something, or someone, was connected to the investigation,
Wait,
which
what?
caused authorities to put the building on
But
lockdown.
why are
Not
we
only
working
that,
if it's
but
on
it seems
lockdown?
like the
I
previous
should
night
stay by
guard
really
who was
yourself
moved
some
to the
problems.
day
No
shift has
worries,
suddenly
no
left his
worries.
position.
Much
What a
love, thank you
strange
for stopping by.
coincidence. Of course, we know this is most likely William Afton, who took the night guard position and switched to the day shift, most likely so he could find more targets and get more remnant. At the very least, Phone Guy is still trying to be supportive where he can. He still tells Jeremy that he's doing a good job, but you could really tell
Hi,
he's
Fatsu. Thank you
extremely
for the
stressed
check-in.
out and worried.
We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the
Hello.
name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that.
It's going
It's closed
good.
for
I'm
years,
trying to.
so I doubt
We're
we'll be able
probably
to
gonna
track
finish
anybody
up
down.
this
This is also where Phone
this
Guy
part of
mentions
the
the
video,
original restaurant,
and then save the
old
rest for another
location that was
time.
mentioned in this game's
I'm
Night 1
getting
call.
really
We
sleepy.
now know that
I had
the
a
original
long
Freddy's
day.
location was actually called Fredbear's Family Diner and has been closed for years. The ironic thing about this line, of course, is that one of those said owners is Afton, the guy that's been causing all these problems in the present. The other owner was a man by the name of Henry Emily, who's probably the guy that they're trying to track down. The reason why I'm focusing on this is because while Phone Guy isn't willing to actually talk about the rumors or what's really going on, he is telling Jeremy everything else that's happening behind the scenes. Unlike in the first game, Phone Guy is still telling the truth. He's still trying to be a good boss and tell his employees what's going on. The only problem is he either isn't willing or can't divulge the important information, which means we only have bits and pieces to go off of for what's really going on.
So just get through one more night. Hang in there. Good night.
The way I see Phone
Damn.
Guy's transformation in the second game is similar to how we view different phases of the moon. Phone Guy
Oh, wow,
starts
that's
out on the first
craziness.
night as a new moon. He's willing to give us as much information as he's allowed to disclose. He's cordial and professional,
Comparing
and
him
he's
to
very
the
calm
moon
and
cycle is kinda
collected. By
wild.
the time of the third and fourth calls, Phone Guy is now a first quarter. He's still trying to be professional and is willing to give out as much information as he can. But he's a lot more nervous and is held back by falling into that minimizer behavior we see in FNAF 1. And as we move into the Night 6 call, the final call for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we'll see him become a full moon. I'm going to let you listen to the whole call. Here it is.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits.
What?
We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow.
We should make Wumbo work it. That'd be
You'll
crazy.
be on day shift.
If you
Wear
can
your
get Wumbo to
uniform.
play this game,
Stay close to the
craziness.
animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay?
I would sit in.
for now,
I would sit
make
in,
it through
watch
the
her
night.
play.
When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself. Okay, good night and good
Oh.
luck.
In this call, we can see that Phone Guy has fully transitioned into how he acts during the events of FNAF 1. He is a nervous mess, constantly stuttering over his words. He sounds almost dazed as he attempts to tell Jeremy
night,
about
bro.
what's happened, even though almost all of the details are still barred off
Sleep
from
soon,
mentioning.
sleep
He says that someone
soon.
used one of the
I'll
spare
probably take a
suits,
short nap,
a
and
yellow
then
one,
I
and
gotta
now
get some
none
work
of them
done.
are acting right. By now, the authorities have most likely figured out that William Afton, posing as a night guard turned day shift security guard, is responsible for the disappearances of at least 5 children.
Wow.
He did all of this by using a yellow suit that we'll become much more accustomed with in the next game. But oddly, Phone Guy still hasn't fully turned into who he is in the previous game. While he does tell Jeremy to finish his shift, even though he's not supposed to be there, he's saying this because he doesn't want him to get hurt. By now he knows that the animatronics are actively dangerous and are hostile towards adults specifically. He could have just told Jeremy to get out of there, as he shouldn't be paid on company time. That would be the Fazbear Entertainment thing to do, to save a buck wherever possible, and something that Phone Guy would most likely do if this was the first game. But instead, he prioritized Jeremy's safety. He survived 5 nights against these animatronics already. He should be able to handle one more. What does suck though is that he immediately tells him that he needs to work another shift right after this one. But I also think this says a lot about how much he trusts this night guard. From Phone Guy's perspective, Jeremy is someone who has been repelling these animatronics for a week straight, surviving long hours against them while making minimum wage. If anyone should be around the animatronics for the final event, it's him. Phone Guy has shown time and time again that he cares about how these characters are perceived by the children. He cares about the impact Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as an experience is for the children. It's obvious that Fazbear Entertainment is a greedy company. That's why they're still doing one more event even though there's a disappearance investigation going on. But Phone Guy wants to preserve the magic of Freddy's the best he can, so he entrusts this to his most loyal and equipped employee, someone who has actively fought against these animatronics. Unfortunately, it's more than likely that wasn't what actually happened. After beating the night, Jeremy received a check for an extra $20.10. Of course, the check is issued for the day after the previous check was issued, November 13th, 1987. Next to the check, we can read a newspaper about how the new animatronics at Freddy's will be scrapped and the old withered ones will be held onto, setting up their return in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. We also get a brief quote from the CEO of Fazbear Entertainment, talking about how this is a minor setback, but they hope to reopen someday. So, what happened? Why did Phone Guy say that the place would only be closed down for a few days, only for them to pivot into permanent closure after one day? Well, I think that was originally the case. They did plan to close for only a few days and reopen once the investigation had been cleared. But something happened during that final birthday party, something that irreversibly altered the lives of so many people, something that ruined Fazbear Entertainment's reputation for years, something they couldn't just sweep under the rug. That being, of course, the bite of '87. The most popular theory of the fandom when it comes to the bite is that it happens on November 13th, 1987, and Jeremy Fitzgerald is the victim. Jeremy is not seen in any FNAF media after the second game, and his disappearance could be easily explained by this theory. There are a lot of options when it comes to who actually performed the bite itself. Some say it was Withered Foxy, others say it was Toy Chica, and there was even a fan game series called Pop Goes that was completely centered around the theory that Toy Bonnie performed the bite. But the most popular suspect by far, and the one I believe to be most likely, is Mangle. Mangle was the only animatronic to be mentioned in the phone calls that doesn't have a unique mechanic like Foxy or the puppet. Considering that he's situated in Pirate's Cove, and there's a party table, it's more than likely that she's the one who caused the bite during this final birthday event. In truth, it doesn't really matter which of the animatronics bit Jeremy. What matters are the repercussions of what happened. After the bite, Fazbear Entertainment was put in an awful position. First the disappearances of 5 children, now a maiming by one of their animatronic entertainers. What's worse is that this was in front of a live audience, live witnesses. The only option was to abandon the rebrand completely and try again in a few years. To Fazbear Entertainment, it was a minor setback. But to Phone Guy, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Jeremy was a fellow employee that Phone Guy actively supported, one that he called every night and talked with even if he didn't reply. He was someone that worked so hard for so little and got maimed in the process. Phone Guy always told Jeremy everything he was allowed to say. He chatted with him about his favorite characters and gave him helpful information. Considering he never spoke back, it's hard to say if they had a true friendship, but at the very least, it was a mentorship. Now his protege has been permanently maimed, yet somehow still alive. This is what changed Phone Guy into who he is in the first game. He didn't become a full moon during the Night 6 call, he became a full moon after the bite of 87 on the 6th day. By the time of Five Nights at Freddy's 1, he's fully transitioned into
That's
the
like my
character
annual
we know better.
rewatch.
Extremely skittish and nervous, always stuttering over his own words, downplaying the dangers present, and trying to sometimes comfort the night guard, but only succeeding in making things more uncomfortable. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 expanded Phone Guy's character immensely. What started as a dishonest co-worker who hid his true darkness behind his place of work has now become a tragic story of trauma. There was a point in time where Phone Guy was a great employee, when he was excited about working at Freddy's and loved the characters and atmosphere and the people he worked with. But after that short time at the new Freddy's location in 1987, his entire demeanor changed. He grew to be a nervous wreck that downplays the dangers of what's happening, unintentionally tricking future employees to the hell he and many others have experienced. FNAF 2 masterfully expanded on his character, but we haven't finished hearing him speak just yet, because we'll hear more from him in the next game.
Okay. We're gonna yap a little bit more and then probably end stream there. That's crazy. This, like, FNAF is such an interesting franchise to me with the lore points. Like, it's so crazy. Boogie time. Seeing your friends get bit and working where children disappear. Well, yeah, I heavy agree. How are you, Lena? Oh my god. Wait, Lena, can I tell them about me, my Tomodachi life on your island? Wait here, let me. You want to see my puppies? You're my puppies. Yes, okay. So Miss Alina VT, which is lovely person, by the way. Y'all should go check them out. They are so much of an amazing streamer. Sorry, my mind is slow right now. They're lovely. I adore them. I love watching them when I'm awake late at night. But they made me in their Tomodachi life, and I have a potential triangle of a romance, like Gojo, which is another me that she had created on her island, has a crush on me version of May. Yeah, me May version. There you go. And I'm supposed to be potentially with whatever. Be with Arataki Ito, but who knows? Who knows if that might happen? Who knows? But yes, I've been adoring everyone for making me in their me world, guys. Like, it's such a nice feeling. And everyone's been so kind and been making me in their me world. Good luck to you, me, not seriously. Y'all know, once I get Tomodachi life, oh, I am making Rayhan, Jason Todd, and Nightwing, so I can live my life. Also, I had out taking a break before finishing assignments. I gotta record myself. You got this. Thanks for sliding by. I really do appreciate it. Matt Pat. Dude, Matt Pat Game Theory videos, honestly, was such a big reason of why I love a good lore video. Genuinely. Like, there's nothing like Matt Pat lore videos. I know some people don't really like them, but I think they're very much of the structure of why I love lore videos. I'm sorry, I'm also really sleepy today. I think today's been a lot. I've done a lot today. So we're gonna go and raid someone for the night. You're also getting along with Alina, me, and Tia. What a beautiful day. I love Tia and Alina. They're so adorable. So beautiful. So beautiful. Can we rate? Is Wumbo live? I don't think Wumbo's live. She doesn't usually stream. I think I'm supposed to hang out with her. Funny enough. I think I'm supposed to hang out with her soon. Thank you for streaming. Thanks for hanging out. We're gonna go read Rebecca. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll be live again on Wednesday for Outlast Trials with friends. I know y'all will enjoy that. But till then, have a good rest of your time zone. Be nice, be kind, don't be an ass. I will see y'all soon. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah. Bye bye. ASME 1 and talk to you soon.